With the first half of the seasons done and dusted, we're going to take a look at the Arrowverse shows and how they're all shaping up at this stage. So right off the bat, I'll say that I liked the first half of this season of Supergirl. It's really been interesting to see how they've set up the big bad villain of the season in Reign. My biggest problem with the first two seasons of Supergirl was the big bad. Neither of them was very interesting to me, and it just made the whole season very dull. And in particular, season 2 felt like there was no real direction until 3/4 of the way through the season when they decided this is who we want as our big bad villain. So to come into Supergirl season 3, we know who the villain is, and we've seen them from the early episodes. It's been interesting to see how they've built up this character and give them a backstory, made them a character that we can care about, and so when they actually do become this bad villain, suddenly there's a lot more feelings and emotion involved for both the viewer and the characters in the show. It'll be interesting to see where they go with from here with Reign, because they've set her up so well, there's huge potential there. But the question is, can they see it through? Because we've seen disappointment in Supergirl in the last couple seasons. Another big story point of season 3 has been Mon-El and the Legion. Now while I'm excited to see the Legion and how they're going to feature into the rest of season 3, I'm not so excited to see Mon-El back. He served no real purpose in season 2 other than to be some love interest for Supergirl. Going forward, I just don't see where his place is. But the positive is, he brings with him the Legion. So we'll see where that kind of goes, where that moves forward to. But yeah, they need to find something to do with Mon-El, because he wasn't interesting in season 2, he's not interesting so far in season 3, so they just need to find some direction for that character. Now while we're talking about characters who serve no point or purpose whatsoever, let's take a moment to talk about James Olsen. So in season 1, he's there as the love interest for Kara, and that worked to some extent, but at least he had a purpose. You get to season 2, and clearly over the break the writers had decided that we don't want James and Kara together anymore, so we're going to separate them extremely abruptly in that first episode of season 2. And it was very abrupt. It made no sense whatsoever, but I was okay with it because I thought, well, they didn't really work too well in the first place, but whatever. Now, throughout season 2, we have a James who has absolutely no direction, and they clearly have no use for this character, so they shoehorn in Guardian. Now, my big problem with Guardian has been just the way they've revealed that character. Like, weeks before he even appeared on the show, they put out this news story that said James Olsen is going to be Guardian, here's a picture of him. But that's just stupid, because we haven't even heard anything slightly in the show throughout season 2 at that point that would indicate that James was going to become Guardian, or that he was even considering that. And so for the next few weeks we were like, well, he's going to become Guardian, let's see how this happens. A much more interesting approach to that, I think, would have been to just have Guardian show up and try and make it a bit of a mystery as to who was Guardian. Kind of like how Kara had to work it out. It would have been much more interesting as the viewer to work it out with Kara, and then maybe the reveal would have been an interesting point in the season. But instead they went this other way, and so once James was Guardian, it was like, well, okay, here he is. They still don't have any purpose for James in season 3, but they've taken somewhat of an interesting turn, putting him together with Lena, which I'm curious to see. I think it works together, but yeah, they just don't have anywhere to go for this character, and there's nothing for him to do as Guardian because there's too many heroes on the team. And not that Supergirl needs the help, but they need to work out where they want this character to go. And maybe it's that they need to write this character out, maybe he needs to make a shift, maybe they move Guardian to Legends for a few episodes. I don't know, but they need something more for this character to do. Another character I'd love to see more from is Martian Manhunter. It's always cool when we get to see a bit more of him, and the storyline they had earlier on in the season about him kind of discovering his father and saving his father has been quite interesting. I'm interested to see how that relationship plays out a bit more. But yeah, when we talk about the big crossover, I am disappointed that we didn't get to see Martian Manhunter and Superman around for the crossover. I understand why they didn't do it, but I would have loved to see those characters get to be a part of that, particularly those big group shots where everyone was there teaming up. That would have been cool. Also more from Superman. We haven't seen him yet this season, so hopefully he's going to make it some kind of appearance, however brief it may be. Thanks for watching the video, guys. If you liked the video, give it a big thumbs up, comment, share it around with your friends, subscribe, and follow us at AUKS Social on Twitter.